Usually, when people watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, the general idea is that Saul Goodman is just this con man who can, wiggle his way out of any situation and generally hurts people. His presence is not necessarily the best thing, right? I mean, he ruins relationships and does other things. But I have watched these shows and I think that Saul Goodman is a good guy, at least deep in his heart he is. Because when you really analyze what kind of person he is, his actions, his behavior, at least how I perceive it, because I'm not a psychologist, nothing like that. This is just how I view it. Then you really start to understand that he is not this evil con man, and that the actions and this life that he has chosen, kinda, is really not his fault. If you like videos about lore, characters, movies, video games, books, then, leave a like, continue watching, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's just continue. So, the reason I'm saying this is because every human makes mistakes. Every human, at some point in their life, does something that is not good. So, when we look at Saul, when we look at his Slip and Jimmy era, that is, in my opinion, just him committing a mistake, him being overshadowed by his big brother, not really fitting in anywhere and being like, oh, well, I might as well do this, right? I mean, I don't really care about my life. Let's just do things that we find fun in. And that's, it's all right. But many people view it as, oh, that's just his true character. And I don't think it is because, House MD, yes, I'm bringing House into this, has a saying, people don't change. And I believe that. I think that people can behave a certain way for a period of time, but I don't think people can really change. And Saul, he never really changed. He had a way of life. And after, he got jailed after the big fail, he returned. He stopped being Slip and Jimmy, and as we all know, he went to work at his brother's law firm. Right? He went to HHM, and he worked as a paper boy. He worked a very menial, laborious job, and during that period, he got a law degree. He passed the bar, and while yes, it wasn't very spectacular, like it wasn't a school that was like, oh my god, like Harvard or something, like it was an online school, he still did it. And for a kid who just recently was basically just conning everybody, right? He was conning people at bars. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good improvement. I mean, at least I think so, right? I mean, you went from being a con man to to being in jail, and now you work at your brother's law firm, and you just passed the bar. That's pretty good. And, as we all know, he applied to be a lawyer at this firm, and he had the qualifications, and his girlfriend or friend uh, had gotten this job. So it wasn't impossible. He knew that, they did hire people, right? It's the whole point of the firm. And they didn't. And at first he blamed Howard. He blamed the guy, Howard Hamlin. But as we all know, obviously this video contains spoilers, guys. Come on. As we all know, his brother Chuck was the one who prohibited him from getting a job at that firm. And he continued to do so. Even after years, and even after, Saul had proven himself to, Jimmy, had proven himself to be a lawyer and, did lawyer things and lived an honest life, his brother still wasn't having it, right? His brother still disapproved of him, even after they had spent years, together, and even after he had helped his brother was just still this demeaning, old, angry man. And that's also what, caused his demise as well. But from what we can see from this is that, Jimmy, he committed a mistake, right? He had a bad period in his life, and I think every person is has a bad period in their life, right? Obviously, some have better periods than others. I mean, being a con man and getting in jail is pretty bad. But still, he stopped doing that. He straightened himself out, and he became the good guy. He became a good guy, and that got him nothing, right? And not like necessarily nothing. It hurt him because people just weren't having it. People weren't having this, trying to be better person. So they put him down, like most of all his brother, right? And we see throughout the show him, at least the first time, with that whole money thing where he didn't, steal the money, and after, he said like, "Oh, that's never gonna stop me again." But we see that in his heart he does have a correct moral compass, and that at least in one particular instance, he chose the morally correct way over the immoral way. So I think that just shows that he's not a villain. Now, obviously, later in the series, he decides to start doing some, to go down this bad path, but that's because only the good path isn't getting him anywhere. And this is not necessarily about, getting somewhere, not getting somewhere. It's also more about just the, hardship, right? That this correct life got him, right? He still was discriminated by his brother and other people like that. And even when he started his own company and did all kinds of things, people still were like against him. So now we have to talk about when he was hired to Cliff and Maine. So that was a law firm that was associated with Hamlin McGill, and that he actually got to work in because it wasn't controlled by his brother. And I'll be honest, he again he fucked up. He did. He was at this firm, and because of his behavior, he got fired. Now his behavior wasn't evil, and that's the kicker, that he got fired not because he was, a bad guy, necessarily an evil person, which usually people online, from what I've read, regard him as a bad guy. And I just want to say that he's in my eyes, he's not a bad guy. Like I think that's kind of, at least from my perspective. And the reason he got fired from this firm is because he made like a commercial, right? That was way too colorful and painted the firm in a bad picture, I guess. But it all came from good intentions. He never wanted to do something bad, right? He never wanted to ruin this chance. He just did what he did without any bad intentions. He wasn't acting as a bad con man. He wasn't conning anybody, right? I mean, at least as I understand, maybe I missed something, right? Maybe I'm completely wrong, but at least from my perspective, he wasn't doing anything bad. So so him getting fired from an actual firm is not any kind of like proof that he is a bad person. I think that there are plenty of law firms, and there could have been one for him. And I think the main catalyst in this whole thing, me thinking that he is not an evil person, answering my question, is the last episode of the show where he gets arrested after hiding his identity, because his real identity, people were like, "Oh, Saul Goodman, oh, he's a con man, let's get him arrested." And then he fled the state and changed his name, and then they arrested that guy. And the reason for that is that he admitted to everything. He didn't lie. He didn't say anything. He simply told the truth. That's not something a evil person does. At least that's what I think. I mean, perhaps it's a breaking point where it's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna sit in jail anyway," or something like that. I don't know. But he simply just confessed everything, and I think that was a good guy move, because in life, at least in his situation, it wasn't that easy to tell the truth, right? I mean, I think he acted in a human way. Now, obviously, he had that colorful personality. He had that, dash of, oh, colorful guy, and he dabbled. But throughout the series, we just see that he does not have this, evil instinct that the other characters in the show have, right? If we look at Walter White, for example, right? He was just a guy who was living his life, and he got cancer, and he let the evil part of him just go wild, just go out there. And Walter White is a completely different story, right? I mean, he's not necessarily, uh, the most evil person. At least he has done a lot of horrible things. But usually he has done those things to survive. But I'm not gonna start talking about that now. I haven't thoroughly thought about it or researched it, right? Because you can't remember everything from a show. There's like nuances, this and that. But yeah, so basically Jimmy just got involved with the wrong people, and that just led him down this this path because he was also so colorful. So yeah, that's basically my take. I think that Jimmy is, Saul Goodman or whatever you want to call him. He is not an evil person. He's not a bad guy. Obviously, he has done bad things, and there's no really excuse for those actions. But I think in his heart, like, I know that sounds cheesy, but in his heart, I don't think he is an evil character like other characters, like, for example, I don't know, like Lalo or somebody, right, from the actual show, who actually just have bad things in their heart, right? Yeah, so that's basically my take on Jimmy, on Slippin' Jimmy, on Saul Goodman, on Better Call Saul. Really enjoyed the show. It's a great show. If you haven't for some reason watched it and you're here, then go watch. It's freaking brilliant. And if you have watched it, I would love to hear your thoughts on Breaking Bad, on Better Call Saul in the comments, because they're pretty epic shows. I mean, I think in terms of shows, those are one of the best shows, if not the best shows in the world. So hope you enjoyed, right? Leave a like, subscribe. Don't leave a dislike, just comment what you didn't like, because that way people see it, I see it, and an invisible dislike will help nobody. Well, I mean, you can still dislike, it's a free country, free world, right? So yeah, live long and prosper.